Talk about when to move the stop loss up to break even. And this seems to be a really common question, something that people struggle with a lot. A lot of you have asked me, like DJ Kim, can we also talk about when and why you move your stops to safe? And Jacques asked what rules determine when it's time to move to break even. Or Nay has asked me, maybe I missed it in one of your videos, but when do you move to break even? And Ivan just texted me one of his trades and asked, when do I move my stop to break even? Okay, surprisingly, the answer is really, really simple. For me, um, depending on whether the trade is a position trade or a swing trade, the rules are extremely simple. And we just went through what the criteria for determining whether a trade is a position trade or a swing trade are. So if you're still not clear about that, I would recommend first reviewing that. But for all position trades, I move the stop loss to break even after the first natural reaction. And for all swing trades, I move the stop up to break even after 1 hour. It's as simple as that and doesn't need to be made more complicated. Let me show you what I mean by both of these. So an example of a natural reaction would be this trade, SE trade that I took. I tweeted my entry here and I'm still holding it. So I entered here on the EP day when the company came out with a surprise profitability announcement. And as you can see, it went up a lot on crazy high volume. But since it was a position trade, I was in no rush to make the stock safe. I wait for the stock to pull back, make a new low, and then once it starts going higher, I will move that stop up to break even. So initially, my stop was here, the low of this gap. I let it pull back. It came here, pretty close to my break even. I did not panic. I waited. Once it started going up again and took out this resistance level, then I moved my stop up to break even here. And then eventually here. I'll talk about that in a bit too. But the basic idea is that when you're in a position trade, you don't want to be too hasty to move the stop up to break even because that can cause you to get shaken out and often lose your position in the trade. You want to be patient. You want to give the stock some time to come back, have a natural reaction, go back up again, and then move your stop up to break even. And natural reaction is actually a term coined by Minervini, so I just want to give him credit for that. It's not something I came up with. And I find this rule to be really logical when I'm taking a position trade. So I just keep it simple, and this is my only rule for it. Now, if I'm taking a swing trade, on the other hand, since I'm only holding it for 3 to 5 days, I don't want to wait for that natural reaction. The whole idea of a swing trade is that you don't want to hold through those pullbacks or those reactions, but you just want to sell into strength. So the way I would treat a swing trade is as soon as the stock goes up to 1 hour, I make it safe and move the stop up to break even. Now, what is 1 hour? R is simply a risk multiple, and it's the amount that you're risking in that trade. So say I'm risking $100 in that trade, which means if my stop loss is hit, I'm going to lose $100. Now for the stock to go up 1 hour, it would mean that I'm in $100 profit. So if I had risked $100 on the trade and the stock goes up $100, giving me a profit of $100, I'm simply going to move the stop loss up to break even and make that trade free or safe. So an example of this would be Mara. This is a trade that I just took. And so I entered it here. This was my risk. And at the end of the day, Sorry, this was in the next day in the pre-market. So here, 9:25 a.m. So in the pre-market, it was gapping up. It had gone up more than 1 hour from the entry yesterday. And so I moved the stop loss to break even. And now it's a free trade. And what does it mean for the trade to be free? It means even if my stop loss is hit, I'm going to exit at break even. So I'm going to exit at exactly the same price that I entered it on. And so I'm not going to make money. I'm not going to lose money. It's effectively a free trade. It's going to be $0. So really simple rule that I follow for all of my swing trades. And most of my trades are actually swing trades. I'm primarily a swing trader. As soon as the stock goes up 1 hour, I just move it to break even. And that makes sure that I don't lose any money on the trade. And if you keep your rules as simple as this, you're going to make sure that your drawdowns are as small as possible and your life is as less complicated as possible. And every time you take a trade, you're not asking yourself, okay, when should I make the trade safe? When should I move the stop up? Just create rules for yourself that make sense to you and that simplify your life and your trading. Okay, now the other thing to keep in mind is once you've made your stock safe, how do you trail that stop loss up? And for me, again, that's a very simple answer. For all stocks, whether they are swings or positions, if they pull back and start going up again, I move the stop loss to each swing low. So this is an example of a trade I actually took in Miniso, and I tweeted all of my entries and exits. I took this in November last year. This is where I entered. This was my initial stop. I had taken it as a position trade because this was an IPO-based breakout and had just gone up huge on earnings. As soon as it made a pullback and started going up again, I moved the stop loss from this pink circle to here. Then it pulls back again, bases for a few weeks, starts to go up again, makes a double bottom here. I move the stop loss to here. Pulls back again, starts to go up. I move the stop loss from here to here. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. And this way, I kept trailing my stop up until I sold everything here. And I'm going to talk about why I sold it here and what the sell rules are as well. But for now, I just wanted to show you how I trail my stop loss. So the reason I do it this way is because it's very logical for me. If a stock is in an uptrend, it should be making higher lows. And all I'm doing is moving the stop up from one higher low to the other.